Hello again, chapter 6 of Emil and the detectives today. If you remember before, we've had Emil on the train. He fell asleep, he had a nightmare. He woke up to discover that the money had gone from his pocket, and then he spotted the man with the bowler hat getting off the train, and he got off at the wrong station. Of course, he was supposed to get off at Friedrich Street, and he got off at the Zoological Gardens. So I don't know really how he's going to get out of this, because this was way before mobile phones and things like that. So let's wait and see what happens to Emil now. So chapter 6 is called Keeping Watch on a Tram. Of course, Emil would have liked to rush straight up to the man and shout, "Hand over my money." But Grunt Ice didn't look the type who would respond civilly. "With pleasure, my dear boy. Here it is. I'm terribly sorry. I'll never do such a thing again." No, it wouldn't be as easy as that. The great thing was not to lose sight of him now he had found him. So Emil took cover behind a large woman who was going in the right direction, but kept a sharp lookout from side to side. As he got nearer the bowler hat, he began to wonder what would happen next. When the man reached the main exit, he stopped and looked back as though searching for someone in the crowd. Emil kept carefully out of sight, but the large woman was getting near the exit too. He wondered if she would help him, but knew he could not really expect her to believe his story. Even if she did, the thief had only to say, "Madam, do I look so poor that I'd steal money from a child?" And everyone would start staring at Emil and saying, "Disgraceful, a boy like that making up a story about anyone. Children are quite impossible nowadays." The mere thought set Emil's teeth chattering with fright. At that moment, the man turned away and stepped into the street. Emil set down his bag and dashed forward to see where he went. His arm ached like anything. That suitcase was a weight. He saw the thief cross the road slowly. Once he glanced back, and then went on, though reassured. A number 177 tram, made up of two cars linked together, drew up opposite the station. The man hesitated, and then got into the front part and sat down in a window seat. Emil snatched up his case, put down his head, and plunged out into the street. He reached the tram just as it was going to start, but he had time to push his suitcase onto the platform of the rear part and scrambled after it, breathless but triumphant. What next, he wondered. If the thief jumped off while the tram was going, he might as well give up the money for lost, forever. It would be too dangerous to follow him, hampered as he was with the suitcase. Motor cars rushed past with horns honking and screeching brakes. They signalled right-hand turns and left-hand turns and swung off down side streets, while other cars came swooping up behind them. The noise was indescribable, and on the pavements crowds of people kept hurrying by. Out of every turning, vans and lorries, trams and double-decker buses swarmed into the main thoroughfare. There were newspaper stands at every corner, with men shouting the latest headlines. Wherever Emil looked, there were gay shop windows filled with flowers and fruit, books, clothes, fine silk underwear, gold watches and clocks. And all the buildings stretched up into the sky. So this was Berlin. Emil wished he could stop and see everything properly, but there was not much chance of that. The man who had his money was sitting there, in the front part of the tram, and might get out at any moment and disappear into the crowds. If that happened, it would be the end of the matter. Emil was sure he could never follow him through all that traffic. Suddenly he got in a panic, for fear the bowler hat might have got out already, and he shoved his head out to see. But it was no use. He just had to go on blind, not knowing whether the man had gone or was still sitting in the front car, not even knowing where the tram was taking him. And all this time, he supposed his grandmother must be waiting for him by the flower stall at the Friedrich Street station. What would she say if she knew that her grandson was travelling round Berlin on a number 177 tram alone and in such trouble. The tram stopped just then for the first time. Emil kept his eye on the car in front, but no one got out through the great many doors, though a great many more people got on. They had to push past Emil to get to the seats, and one man complained about his blocking up the gangway. "Other people want to get home as well, you know," he growled. The conductor, who was taking fares inside, rang the bell and the tram moved off. Emil got pressed into a corner and someone trod on his foot. Then, all of a sudden, he remembered that he'd no money for the fare and the conductor was on his way to him. "I'll be turned off if I can't pay," he thought. "Then I shall be done for." He looked at the other passengers standing all round him and wondered if any of them would lend him the money to pay for his ticket. But they were all deeply engrossed in their own concerns, one reading a newspaper, two others discussing a big bank robbery. "They dug a tunnel," one of them was saying, "and got inside the bank that way. They cleared everything out of the safe deposits. Thousands of pounds gone, they say. It would be very difficult to prove what was in some of those safes, observed the other. "Apparently, no one's obliged to tell the bank what they deposit in them." "I suppose," said his friend, "people could claim to have diamonds worth thousands of pounds there, when all they really had was a lot of worthless bonds or a few plated spoons." They both laughed at that. "That's what will happen to me," thought Emil. "No one will believe me that Mr. Grunteye stole £7 from me. He'll say I'm telling stories and that he only took half a crown. Oh dear, what a mess to be in." By this time the conductor had got to the platform where Emil was and called out, "Any more fares?" The passengers round him handed over their money and in exchange got long white strips of paper punched with holes. When the conductor reached Emil, he said, "What about yours?" Please, I've lost my money," Emil told him, feeling sure the man would never believe it had been stolen. "Lost it, eh? I've heard that tale before. And how far might you be going?" I don't know yet," Emil stammered. "Well, can you just get out at the next stop and make up your mind?" I can't do that," Emil cried. "I must stay on for a bit. Please let me." "When I tell you to get off, off you get," said the conductor. "Understand?" "Oh, give the boy a ticket," said the man who had been reading the paper, and he produced the money. Emil got his ticket, but the conductor said, "You wouldn't believe how many kids get on every day and pretend they've lost their money. They're only trying it on. I've heard them laugh the moment my back was turned. They think it's a good joke." "I don't think this one will," said the man. "Oh, no, I won't," Emil assured him as soon as the conductor had gone inside the tram again. "Thank you very much, sir." "That's all right," said the man, and returned to his paper. Then the tram stopped again, and Emil had to lean out to see whether the man in the bowler hat was getting off, but he was not. Please, will you give me your address?" Emil asked the man with the newspaper when the tram moved on again. "Why?" "So that I can pay you back when I have some money. I'm going to stay in Berlin for a week, so I could bring it round to you. My name is Emil Tischbein. I come from Neustadt." "Oh, don't bother," said the man. "The fare's paid, and that's all there is to it. Do you want any more money?" "Oh, no, thank you," replied Emil quickly. "I shouldn't like to take any more." "Just as you like," said the man, and went back to his paper. The tram moved on, stopped, and went on again. Emil discovered that the fine broad street they were in was called Kaiser Avenue, but of course he had no idea where that was. The thief was still in the front compartment, and for all he knew there might be thieves all around him. No one seemed interested one way or the other. A strange man had paid his fare, but had gone on reading again without even asking why he had no money. Emil felt very small among them all in that big, busy city. Nobody cared about his having no money, or that he didn't know where he was going. There were 4 million people in Berlin at that moment, and not one of them cared what was happening to Emil Tischbein. No one has time for other people's troubles in a city. They've all troubles enough of their own. They may listen for a moment and perhaps say how sorry they are, But they're probably thinking, oh, for goodness sake, don't bother me about it. It was awful to feel so alone, and Emil wondered what would happen to him. So that's the end of chapter 5, keeping watch on the tram, and we're moving on to chapter 7, tomorrow, a long wait at the flower stall. A long wait at the flower stall. So I wonder what's going to happen in tomorrow's episode. So I'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow, or certainly you seeing me. I hope you're enjoying the story, and I'll see you on Sunday.